Hi, everyone. I'm Victor Lund from the Wave Group. I have with me my business partner and colleague, David Gumper, who runs Wave Group Technology. And we've invited two guests today from Seven Gables. Ryan Hildebrand, raise your hand, Ryan. He
Hello.
is the head of the IT director for Seven Gables. And of course, the amazing Michael R. Hickman, who is the general counsel or chief legal counsel and general manager of Seven Gables. Well, welcome, guys. I really appreciate it. Great
Thank
to
you
have
for
you here
having
today.
us. We appreciate it.
So I know that Seven Gables has been pioneering things in the world of AI. We've been involved in some of this stuff, and it's very impressive. And we get questions from brokerages every day, like, what should I be doing with my AI? And so I figured, well, rather than tell your story secondhand, I'd bring you on and we'll record this and let others kind of find out a little bit about what you guys are doing and how you're doing it and what your experience has been so far. Sound good?
Sounds great.
All right, so let's start with you, Michael. Seven Gables describes its approach to AI as sort of culture first. What does that mean in terms of how your people work every day?
Yeah, so it's Seven Gables, as maybe some of you know, we're a member of Leading RE. So we're a Leading RE company, and just about everybody on our leadership team has been through the Leading RE's leadership training, which is called Maestro. And the three pillars of Maestro are culture, developing people, and selectively growing. So and the reason I say that is because it starts with culture. So for us, when we're talking about developing AI and maintaining our culture, is that we don't want to lose that human connection. So one of the things that our agents really appreciate about our company is how much support, human to human interaction we give. So when we look at AI, we're not looking at it replacing any of that human to human interaction. We're really looking at enhancing it. And so we're looking at sort of developing tools that can help with improving our efficiencies, kind of the low-hanging fruit, where we can free people up to actually provide better service to our agents. Because at the end of the day, it's really a relationship-based business for us rather than the real estate business, right? So that's kind of how we look at AI, not replacing people, but enabling us to really enhance our relationships with our agents.
Yeah, let's. I remember the first conversations we had together. We manifested the notion that AI needs to either be a force multiplier. I put that in the camp of save me money,
Mm.
or it needs to make you money. It needs to provide ways in which you can return money to the bottom line by making people more effective. So, what early problems did you guys decide to solve first and why? I guess this is a question for both of you. Maybe
Yeah.
Ryan, you start with it.
I mean, it's like you said, it's taking a look at is it, how do we multiply our force? How do we scale, the human element? And I think that's where we looked, started looking at, it's like in our marketing department, how do we scale? How do we bring a more human element so that people are not answering the same email every day? How do we, take project management and not have somebody have to like sit on top of that? Can we use AI to really, nurture projects and follow up on projects? Can we, have a bot where, a compliance bot where it can ask questions that answer common, everyday questions that agents have? It may not be, sometimes they're not even comfortable approaching a leader until later on, but they can go in, they can get those answers right away. And by being informed with that, when they come to a manager or something like that, or they do approach us, they already have a concept of what's going on, and we can spend our time more effective with them. Yeah, I agree. It was really how do we I'm going to simplify it, I guess. How do we free up time for people so that we can go back to developing culture, developing people, and allowing our managers to be more productive? So most of the tools, a lot of our tools right now are on the back end that are not agent facing. One that we'll show in a little bit, MikeBot is very much agent facing, but a lot of what we're trying to do is free up our people so that there's more human interaction rather than less.
Great. That leads to my next question is, we've seen so many companies today go down the chasing the AI hype, right? Do this, you got to buy this, you got to go and build this and so forth. But you obviously you've chosen depth over hype in how you built and with especially with MikeBot. I mean, what did you have to say no to early on? And especially maybe when came down to buy versus build.
hmm I mean, I think it's a lot of it came down to for us was, it, like we said, it's like we want to have a lot of a depth. We want to be able to have some control. And when you spend some time going into, like you'll see with MikeBot, we spent time curating the knowledge that goes into MikeBot.
Yeah.
We've curated the prompt that, the prompts that drive MikeBot and how it responds to people. It knows when to escalate. It knows our processes. It knows how we communicate. It knows our brand. It knows our cult, a little bit. We've poured our brand and culture into what we've done to build that.
Yep.
So, and those are things that you can, if you just go out and you grab an off-the-shelf solution. Yes, sometimes you can tweak that, but you don't have direct control. So we have a library of knowledge that's both internal and external that's gone into MikeBot. It's almost 400 documents. It's like 380 documents that it is able to pull knowledge from. But Michael spent a lot of time, we spent a lot of time strategizing how do we want the bot to pull knowledge from it? How do we want it to answer? That's something we actually talked about. We don't want the bot necessarily to strategize for agents. We want that human element. So we want the bot to be able to answer that. So that's built into our prompts. And that's something that we had to tweak. We spent a lot of time tweaking those prompts. It also, when we want to iterate and we want to do more have the bot do more. We were just this last weekend, Michael and I were at an company event, and we were talking about, it's like, hey, it's like, wouldn't it be great if Michael could come up with some examples of how to into specific form examples for specific transactional situations where a form needs to be filled out a specific way. Michael could create a Q&A that references that form. When we did that, and like when we were able to just inside of like 30 minutes be able to sit and start playing with it, we spin up a different version of MikeBot, and we can start asking it questions to see how it spits back those answers and know, oh, we need to adjust this, we need to tweak this so that it's going to be kicking back the examples that we want for our agents. So I mean, it's that, I wouldn't say necessarily fast paced, but it's that having that ability to just go, hey, this is a neat idea. Let's try it out. That's really enabled us to be able to do that. And you can't do that when someone else is building the tool for you. You have to go through and make a request and see if it's, they decide if it's possible. This has been great.
Yeah.
So you're,
So I just wanted to add something real
Yeah.
quick to that. It's the nice thing about all this is, well, one, Ryan and I happen to be located geographically in the same office. So I will come up with an idea and I'll be like, I'll chat him, hey Ryan, let's do this instead, or let's change this, or how about this? And because Ryan's a lot smarter than I am, he'll figure it out. And like within that same day, we'll have a variation of something that we didn't have before. And we would never be able to do that, right, if we were renting rather
Mhm.
than owning. So the collaboration just spurs further collaboration, and we're able to really kind of pivot or change it up, test things, try something new without having to go back and forth with a third party. So it's super efficient in a lot of ways.
I mean, I'll just say too, it's like we all deal with tech vendors in the real estate space, and we know how slow some of them are to respond, even to breaking things. So it's like being able to have control over this process is, it's empowering. I think as a brokerage for me, for Michael, like he said, for our agents, when they have suggestions, we're able to respond quickly as well. So it's really awesome.
well, I love it. I think you guys did a great job of framing your philosophy for how you're approaching AI as a culture first approach. Let's talk a little bit now about business impact and change management, because when you add these AI tools into your business, it creates a force multiplier and allows you to do a whole lot of things more efficiently than you would do without it. You set a pretty bold internal goal that you shared with us to cut your low gain work by 50%. Where did you aim first and what qualified as low gain? I'll just start with Michael.
Sure. So I think we aimed first at some of our back end stuff. We created a bio writer. Ryan created a bio writer. When I say we, I didn't really do anything. Ryan's doing all the work. MikeBot is obviously a part of that. We have some pretty aggressive growth goals next year as far as just expanding the company. We're working currently on some back end stuff with our marketing project flow, billing. We have marketing, we have an internal marketing department, so we have marketing billing, we have our normal accounting billing. How do those two communicate with each other? And then we're currently working on our compliance side, so trying to automate a little bit some of our file review stuff to free up those people again to have a bit more human to human interaction. How did we kind of identify it? I don't know how to articulate. Ryan may be able to articulate that better, but I look at things that people are doing that there's really no reason that people need to be doing them anymore with the technology that we have. So like anything that we can automate, whether it's through AI or just other automations,
Yep.
anything that will take some of the drag off of our people so that our managers can do what they do great, which is developing people, like I said, culture, developing people, selectively growing. So MikeBot came from the deal doctoring thing of all of our managers. While it's super important to be able to deal doctor and support our agents, it's not always the highest gain activity for for our managers to be sitting there answering the same questions over and over and over. And sometimes agents, they don't want to appear that they don't know the answers, so they don't ask the question. And now they can go somewhere and ask a question and get an answer at 10 o'clock at night, right? So that was kind of how we looked at low gain work. Like, is this something that humans really need to be doing, or is it just so inefficient that we can't allow people to, or we're not allowing people to have that human to human interaction where we're really, really servicing our agents to the level that we want to?
Yeah, and I think I mean, like, it's part of what you said, Michael. It's like, if you look at it from that staver direction of, what really provides lift, and, if somebody could get back the time, when we were examining, particularly in our marketing department, potentially with our compliance team and our file review team, it's like if you could, they weren't spending, that's a task that, if you weren't doing this, what could you be doing that
Mm.
is more intentful and more, directly lifts the business. So that's, especially with what we're doing with our marketing department, we're looking at items like that. It's like answering, it's like we have someone, for instance, she spends a lot of time answering where's my project? Is it done? Where is it? That kind of stuff where then that information we use Airtable. We have an Airtable that keeps track of projects. So building a bot eventually, working on a bot that can, when it detects that, answer that question for an agent, that, maybe that eliminates only 5% of what she does in email, but that's just one piece of that. It's like, what other things can we do to lift that up? So those are the types of things that I think we're looking for.
I love it. And thanks for the shout out to our friend Mike Staver. He is a great coach, one of the best for sure. Uh,
Absolutely.
so, Michael, have you been able to measure any high gain work that, like, have you measured how this focus on getting rid of the low gain has allowed your leadership team to focus on high gain stuff? And are you actually seeing that manifest itself? I think you guys have been live for what, 3 to 4 months now?
Yeah, I don't know that we've measured it, to be honest. It's a hard
You
thing.
manage an office as well, right? So it's
Yes, so I manage a branch, and then I'm our general manager, and then I do the legal
okay.
stuff. So I wear a few different hats. For MikeBot came, I know we keep talking about this. I know we're going to show up. MikeBot came for me one day, kind of raising my hand, so to speak, to our president and CEO and saying, "Hey, I'd love to have some help with some of these deal doctoring questions that, I mean, I get text, email, phone calls. Everybody's got my cell number, and I love talking to our agents, but I answer the same question, and we have 8 offices or 10 offices now over and over and over. And I'm like, how can we? And we have fantastic, amazing managers, but people get comfortable calling me. It's just how we've developed that part of our culture. And so for me, it was like there are a lot of questions that I know someone else can answer, where then I can help people when it comes to strategy or a true risk management issue or a true issue that might develop into potential litigation where I'd like to spend my time, and then also helping agents in my own office because that is one of my first responsibilities. So I don't know that I can measure it like quantitatively, but I can tell you it intuitively and anecdotally. We've had something like 180 plus questions get asked, 9 or 10 escalations. We'll talk about that, I think, and how we can escalate questions to myself and the manager. But I know that we've seen a decrease, or I've personally seen a decrease in the amount of, routine questions that I would get asked on a daily basis. And I often, I joke, but I often get a phone call, and the first thing they say is, "Hey, I've already checked with MikeBot, but I'm still a little confused. I hope it's okay. I'm calling. Of course, it's okay. You're
It's tier
calling."
one, right?
Yeah, exactly. So it's something that's picked up fairly quickly. I mean, we've only been doing this for about 70 days now in 180 questions, and the agents, I think they like the speed at which they can get information back. So, can have we measured it? No, but I think I could, intuitively, and I can feel that it's lightened the load a little bit. And again, what it allows our leadership team to do is, I mean, we have a coaching program. I coach agents, our managers coach agents. We've all been trained by Mike Staver's coaching program again. So it allowed me to sit and talk to an agent and coach rather than answering text messages about, how you count days in our contract or something of that nature. So those are the high gain activities that really move the needle for our business, our coaching, our recruiting. Deal doctoring is very important, but it's lower on the chain, so to speak, for moving the needle towards what we're trying to accomplish.
So the other piece, we keep talking about this human to human interaction, right? And how you've really focused on that to highlight that's where the piece is. And you also spoke about, what it is that a human needs to do versus what a machine can do. And you focus on that. Ryan, maybe you could talk a little bit about, we did go through a little bit of an exercise with your compliance team to kind of start working on this project that we're working together on. Yeah, to kind of talk a little bit there about how that experience really showed up in you being able to successfully or clearly go after this human to human, what is important for humans to do versus what machines can do.
Yeah, I think it's especially with agents. This or going back to your question about the compliance piece and what a human can do, and what a human should do, I think.
Yeah.
A machine can identify, we know AI can be, but a human should have the last say. It's like we say, it's like, it's like a human has a personal touch. I think is the main thing. And the way we're approaching AI is we don't want it to feel like we're telling agents, hey, a robot's doing this for you, and you should just implicitly trust the robot. We're the ones that have the relationship with the agents, not, we don't want them to feel like they have to have a relationship with a machine. We still want them to feel like they can come to us and get personalized interaction. There's the compliance piece. Another piece where we've seen it is we also create an internal tool for helping agents with answer engine optimization and
Mm.
generative engine optimization. It's a
Mhm.
tool that it was just simple. We've been exploring that, educating our agents on that. So we set up a tool that is able to it combines four different AI engines and has it go out do research on the agent, returns it. We have a prompt that then generates them a report on maybe where they're doing well, particularly with Answer Engine, maybe where they're not, maybe where their blind sites are. The point of the tools besides the point. The point is that what's been happening, what we saw is we're giving the agency information, they know what they need to do, and they're coming back to us. They're coming back to our IT team or a particular member in our IT team who's helping them, and they know exactly what they want to do. Hey, I want to go out and I got to get more insightful reviews from my clients. I need to build that up. Or, hey, I know what I need to do. I want to start getting some more content on my website so that I'm more visible to AI. They're coming with the actionable items that they want to do. They're informed and they're not. Um, they're not feeling like they don't know what the question is.
Yep.
I
Yep.
think is that it. They know they're coming armed with the questions that they want to ask. They're coming armed with what they want to accomplish. And that just, that lifts what we can do for them because we know how to approach those things and we're not spending the time getting to the root of what do you need to do to succeed.
Well, that's straight up testimony around, how you guys have used AI and effectively applied that to change management and delivered strong business impact from what you're doing. A lot of people are just learning what how to do what they need to do in order for chat applications like ChatGPT or Claude or Gemini or any of these other ones to answer the question with your name in the answer. And while others are just trying to sort of learn what AEO is, you guys are already like in the lead, out in front of everybody, doing a fantastic job at that. I want to switch now to talk about another important part of your vision, which is the agent adoption strategy. So I know, Michael, when we were first talking about it, you were very intentional about positioning AI as an assistant, not a replacement for agents. I know that's talked about all the time, but why is that framing so important to your agents?
Again, it goes back to culture. Like I talk about this with our leadership team all the time. Like I really believe that people come to our company and stay with our company, whether it's an agent or an employee, because of our people. They don't come for a tech tool. I don't think they come for our office space, although that's relevant to culture, there's no doubt. But I think I really believe it's our people. I mean, we're going to be, this company is going to turn 50 years old next year in August of 26.
Woo!
Our CEO
Yeah.
has been with the company for almost 50 years. Our president has been with the company for 37 or 38 years. And those two people, along with many other people that have come and go along the ways, have just developed this amazing culture here at Seven Gables. And you got people like myself, our managers, Ryan, our marketing director, that are, now leading that as well. And that's the most important thing we have. So we don't ever want our agents to feel like Ryan has mentioned, that they're only interacting with a bot. Again, it's intended to enhance our employees, our staff, our leadership, not replace it. And really, we're starting to see it slowly, but it really is allowing more high level human to human interaction instead of, as Ryan's pointed out and I pointed out, the emails about just where do I go to find something, on the marketing dashboard or whatever. So that's why I think it's so important, because we don't ever want our agents to feel like they can't talk to a human, because that's really our strength. So that's why I think it was so important to frame it correctly.
Awesome.
With that, I mean, and Ryan, you and I both know, being in technology, the one thing that kind of irks us a little bit is, hey, we build these great products, we built these great tools, we make, you know, integrations that we think are going to make others more productive, and then the adoption fails, right? We don't get that adoption level that we set out for. With the AI tools that you've built, what are some of the barriers that you were able to remove or deliberately remove in order to enhance their experience and get that adoption higher?
Yeah, I think the number one thing that, like you said, we see a lot with tech tools is, agents, it's not a lack that they don't want to learn. It's just that, they get busy and they don't want to have
Time.
to go into a
Yep.
different system. They don't want to have to figure out, like, I have a task. Most of the time they have a task that they want to do, and they have to figure out how to do that task in the system. And when we were thinking about AI and the approach to that, we realized there's a lot of sources out there for agents to learn about AI, to learn how to prompt, learn how to build custom GPTs, all of that. But then you still have to do, the agent still has to do that. So my approach was, it's like, so why don't we build that very task-oriented, purposeful tool for them? And integrate it into where our tools, where we can, our marketing tools, our MarTech tools, but then also just present it like on our intranet or on our, just present it directly to them like a bio writer bot. It's like, yes, an agent could take that prompt. We could give them the prompt and say, go to Chat GPT, feed it the prompt, create a custom GPT, do all that. Or we could create a custom GPT, publish it. But it's just like, you're in the marketing page, click on, you need a new bio, click on it. The bot's going to start asking you questions. Go ahead and answer the questions. It's going to do, it is Chat GPT on the back end, or actually, I think in this case, it's Claude on the back end. It's
Yeah.
just like building you this, so it's the same experience, but you're living inside of Seven Gables. You came for a specific task and you're accomplishing that task. And I mean, it's been the same way with the AEO. We're trying to teach agents about AEO. I don't necessarily want to spend a bunch of time teaching them. It's like, okay, now you got to set up a Perplexity account. Now you got to set up a
Yeah,
ChatGPT
exactly.
Plus account. Now you got to set up, it's like, and here's how to get into Gemini. It's like, okay, one place, put in your information. We're going to deliver your report that's been powered by all these tools, and you're going to accomplish that task. That I think is the biggest barrier removal we can do. So wherever we can do that, that's my goal to do that. I think that's our goal.
You're taking work off the agent's desk, not
Right.
putting work on the
Yeah,
agent's
it's
desk,
just yeah,
not
give
saying you
them.
have to go learn all these things. I mean, they're busy people.
It's just
Yeah.
honestly, it's over. I mean, I talk to agents it's overwhelming. They can't do it. They're worried about the deal that's struggling. They're worried about their inspection, their listing appointment coming up. Like it's an overwhelming universe for them to kind of try to figure out. So that's what Ryan is really trying to do, I think, is when we remove barriers, like we have to simplify it. We got to make it as easy as possible to adopt with any technology, but I think especially with AI, because there is so much information out there. I think they get paralyzed by the amount of information and where you go with it.
So
Says,
let's turn now to just talking about MikeBot. So that was the first major system that you guys decided to build. You made a choice to build it yourself rather than rent a solution from somebody else. What problem forced you to build it? What were you focused on? What does MikeBot do, if you were to describe it in a few words?
Yeah, well, the name, first of all, it's named after me. That was a joke, but we've never changed it. I don't know why, but
should
it
we
was
tell them the
really just
full name, Michael?
the full name is MikeBot 9000. I don't even know how we came up with it, to be honest, but now it's kind of become a fun thing with the company. Um, what it really does is we've ingested, like Ryan has said earlier, nearly 400 documents, all from California Association of Realtors, National Association of Realtors, CRMLS, and our internal policy documents. So it's a closed universe that the agents already actually have access to. They just don't know where to go to find the information most of the time. And really, what it was designed to do is answer fairly straightforward questions that could take some of that off of the manager's plates, my plate, and return very accurate answers with reference points to the documents if the agents want to go and do some of their own additional research. It's not going to strategize with an agent. That's where the human to human interaction comes in, but it will give them a very accurate, quick answer. And again, then cite to the source where they're like, hey, I want to understand this a little bit better. I can go and read this Q&A from CAR. I can go and actually see which paragraph of the contract it's referencing. And that's really what it's designed to do, is take a lot of those questions off the plate of our leadership team. And I referenced earlier that sometimes agents just won't ask the question because they don't want to appear as if they don't understand it, or they're embarrassed to ask the question. This gives them a spot to go and do that. I mean, I've had many, many, many conversations where the agent calls and they say, I'm almost embarrassed to ask you this, but I want to confirm that I'm doing this correctly, or I want to confirm that this is the answer. So, yeah, that's the problem it was designed to solve.
I love it.
And on that topic, I'm going to jump over to Ryan here, because one of the things that we decided was taking those 400 documents. Everybody's probably out there have heard, oh, you got to make a rag. You got to make a rag, which is really
What's a rag?
what's a rag? It's what it does is take a
I
document
know what it
and
is, but
make
let's
it
make sure
real
everybody else
easy
does.
for machines to understand the content within the document, right? But the problem is that we encountered some issues with just using a basic rag. So we ended up using a product called Light Rag to create what's called a knowledge graph along with a rag. In the most simplest terms that you provide, tell us, how did that help MikeBot become more effective and more efficient?
Yeah. Well, like you said, we had 380 documents from different sources, right? And some of these documents are like policy updates or, like monthly updates, and there's multiple different topics being talked about in these documents. So some of these are coming from the California Association of Realtors, National Association of Realtors, best practices and stuff like that. And so a traditional rag, a basic rag, is looking at a document, right? And it's not, it's looking for an answer, it's looking for a chunk, but it doesn't have concept of what exists in all the other documents, really. And what Light RAG or a Graph RAG does is it builds this knowledge graph. It first ingests all these documents and builds really a
Relationships.
relationship tree, a knowledge tree on where all of this, on all these different topics. You can actually, there's visualizers when you create it that actually are pretty insane. You can actually see it all visualized and see what documents are connected. So it will see that, hey, there's it's like this document talks about the RPA, but then these 16 other documents talk about the RPA, but it also has the context of what part of the RPA is being talked about. So when someone asks a specific question, it can pull all that information in the exact chunk. It's pulling not just from a single document, it is pulling from multiple documents and pulling the most contextual, accurate, and information that most directly answers the question. Uh, I think that
That's yeah,
summarizes it. I think that's the easiest way to
yeah.
summarize it is it's pulling more complete information. You're getting, and AI is actually less likely to hallucinate when you put it in there. You're pulling in, it's pulling in all the gaps. So there's no gaps left to be filled in.
Yep, perfect. And based on that, Michael, the 180 conversations that you've said that you've had in the 9 escalations, how do you feel that that has built trust or accuracy within the platform for the agents and for your managers?
Yeah, well, I think first and foremost, it's evidence that the answers are accurate, right? And we did a ridiculous amount of testing as Ryan and you, David, were kind of working through how to build this. And it's fascinating for somebody like me who has no experience in this to see what is happening on the back end and that thought process. It's really interesting. But one, I think it just again evidences that the answers are accurate. They're trusting the responses because we're citing to the source. They can always go in and check it out themselves. And then the escalations are we have the odd occasion where they think they're talking to me, which is fine. But we were expecting that, right?
Yep, yep.
Most of the escalations are, I got the answer, I understand the answer, but I still need to understand how to apply the answer properly with more of a strategic sort of approach, right? And that's where that higher gain human to human interaction comes in. So what it does when it escalates is it'll come to me and their manager. So their manager sees that their agent's asking a question. They see what the topic is. It could also help, obviously, us train and coach and educate as we move forward, but they get to see it. And then typically what I'll do is I'll reply all so that the manager sees what the answer is or what the question was, the interaction is. And then most of the time we end up hopping on the phone at some point so that we're going through the strategic application of whatever it is. So that's so far. Again, we're only 2.5 months into this, but
Months
that
into
seems
it.
to be the
Yeah.
workflow right now. Yeah, and it seems to be very effective. Yeah, and like I say, they'll call me and say, "I've already tried MikeBot, but I still want to make sure I'm right." And I'm like, "Awesome, let's talk about it." So
Ryan, let's pick up on a couple of the other tools that you built. You
Mhm.
mentioned the AEO tool, and you mentioned um, the agent bio tool. Like, what surprised you so far about the feedback that you're getting from agents when they're using these tools in their business? I mean, is it like how are you measuring it? What kinds of things? Is it more what you hear from agents that celebrates the victory of these applications, or is it what you're actually seeing in your business?
I think particularly I mean, it's a little bit of both, but I think like particularly like I mentioned the AEO bot especially, it has been more successful than I thought. We've done a couple presentations, short presentations on AEO, the concepts of it, but then also giving the agents the bot, and we've only been doing that for about a month where we've been saying this to the agents. We've had over 50 agents run their reports. And like I said, they run their reports and then they're coming back to us, our IT team or our marketing team, and asking questions, because they're empowered by it. And I don't want to necessarily say I was surprised, but I'm very pleasantly pleased that they're coming back and that they are utilizing these tools. I think it's an affirmation of, like we said earlier, if we can create something that is more task focused and gives them a way to answer a question, to accomplish a goal, or to take a look at something specifically, and then have an action that they can come back to us as a human. It really helps drive that. And the BiotBot, we don't see as much. We haven't seen as much with the BiotBot because agents don't rewrite their bios that often. But with our new agents, what I will say is that it has successfully saved, our marketing team hours, right? Because before, this was a 14-page questionnaire that we had somebody from our marketing team would have to chase the agent, get them to fill it out, either type, it was a PDF fillable form, but half the time they would write it out and then scan it back, and then someone in our marketing team, or even our marketing director, would then sit down and have to create a bio. And so instead, I sat down with our marketing director and been like, let's go through your process of writing the bio. What things do you want to see? Give me 5 sample bios that you've written, that she had written, and we had ChatGPT and Claude analyze them for structure and build a prompt for creating, based on the questions and based on the results, kind of create a prompt for creating a bio. And it's been, like I said, maybe it saves an hour for each bio, but that's an hour that, is not, it's simple repetition of information and structuring of information. And then, it goes to our marketing director, and she can make some adjustments, in 20 minutes, in 10 minutes, not an hour.
Yeah. What I really love about what I'm seeing is these bios, they come with almost a perfect blend of taking the themes of your company
Hmm.
and your values and blending them with the unique characteristics of your agents. It really is. It's just such a perfectly done thing. It's really impressive. Before we jump into kind of looking at these products,
Mhm.
you want to just highlight sort of what you think is coming next, like what you hinted at a little bit, but let's go ahead and talk about what you guys are doing next, which I think it's probably going to be the first of its kind in the real estate industry. I know that you guys are up for some brokerage innovator awards for what you've done so far, but this one I think is really going to be a game changer.
Yeah, I mean, the one that I was really focused on, other than again just the questions, is our back end compliance. We're not we're never going to go fully automated, but our file review process is the big one that I would like to get underway. That's something we're actively working on. Um, we're pretty we're pretty strict with our file review just because we've been around for so long. We've had some of the poor experiences, so we've developed a fairly strict compliance program. And what I don't ever want to have happen is that become a friction point with our agents, of course. So I'm excited about that. I know that's one that we've been talking about for a while. We're working on some billing automation with, as I mentioned, we have a full service marketing department that bills, and then we have our just normal agent billing through our accounting team, and working on getting those to speak to each other and automate a lot of that billing process. And then we're going to have a lot of project updates that Ryan can go into via conversational AI to help agents figure out where to go, how to order things, where to find things, so that again, we can free up some of that time for higher gain human to human interaction. So Ryan can talk a little bit more about that.
Yeah. I mean, that's it's basically almost it's almost like MikeBot again. It's a marketing MarTech tool that has content. Our goal is to have a bot basically that has context of all of our tools, and not necessarily just what the tools do, but like specific solutions. So we're working on developing, a lot of this. And I will say this: another advantage of this is like we're writing down a lot of this stuff for the first time. There's institutional knowledge and there's
Yeah.
solutions-based stuff that does not necessarily get published within it lives with a person, it's lived with me, it's lived with different people in marketing. But I will say the advantage of this is that, getting it down, it helps you analyze a lot of these processes too, just
Yeah.
exploring it that way. I'll say that. But, the ultimate goal is to have a bot when an agent needs a solution, again, task oriented. I need this for this. What can I do? This is a question that comes to will come to our marketing coordinators. It'll come to our marketing director a lot. How do I, it's like, I really need to promote this open house. What tools are available? What can I do? And have a bot be able to say, here's all these things that we have. Here's digital advertising platforms that we have available to you. Here's the flyers that we can print for you. It's like, in the future, maybe it's like, you need it right away. Here's a Canva template that you can create and send back to us to print.
Yep.
All that. So it's contextual, giving answers and giving solutions again. So they're not having to chase a human necessarily to get that initial answer. But then once they have the answer, go, I want to do this. Who's the right for, and then the bot can also say, direct them to the right person to get that solution. It's like, I need a,
Yeah. So
Mhm.
you're taking your best practices and turning them into playbooks.
yeah,
That are really driven by AI agents. And today it's going to tell you what to do. But incrementally, a lot of the things that we've discussed is when we look at that checklist of things that you do when you're running this playbook, like you get a new listing, well, what happens next? It's these things. Next step is, well, how many of these things can we use AI to do for you versus which of these things need to be done by the agent? So a lot of that automation where we can again take things off your desk.
mm,
Let's jump in and just look at some of these tools. I know everybody's pretty excited. We've
sure.
been talking about it for a while, but I'm really impressed by what you guys have developed. So maybe Ryan, you could share screen and just let's show
Yeah.
these tools. Let's see how they work and give people a little taste for what you've built.
And the one thing I want to say too, while Ryan is getting himself teed up here, is that what you've done has been very flexible in what model or LLMs that you're using, right? And you're using tools like NAN, Airtable, Light Rag, right? For all
Hmm.
of that. Talk as you bring this up. That to
Yeah.
me has been like that was a very specific strategic decision in order how to build this. It's not rocket science, right? There's so
No.
much that you can do as an IT person or even someone who's tech savvy can jump in and actually do some of these things as well too,
Yeah,
correct?
and that's actually been part of my goal as we go through this is one. It's like, you and I, Dave, both know. He's like, you can sit down, you can code a solution. He's like, you can
Yeah.
spend time custom coding, you can vibe code with AI. But what one of my goals with this is as we develop this stuff, I also want it to be approachable to other people in our organization. As we go through one of my goals is as we go through a process with marketing is, it's like having them, not necessarily, they don't have to, become an IT expert, but they can at least know, this is how I model a prompt for AI. This is how I structure a document or a tool so that AI can read it. This is how I make it, this is how I make AI work for me. Not necessarily. So these tools make that super approachable tool too, because we can not only can we iterate faster, not only can we try different things faster, it empowers others in the organization to kind of help lift that and make that process even faster as well.
Yeah. So let's go ahead.
Yeah.
Let's
So
take a look at MikeBot 9000.
this is MikeBot 9000 right here. So this is a little interface that we built. And so this is an N8N based AI chatbot. Um, but basically, we can ask it a simple question. Michael prepared a question here that agents ask a lot is when they send a notice to the buyer to perform on a Friday, when does that expire? And so we can ask. And right now, so on the back end, uh, AI is going out, it's checking the documents, it's going out to LightRag, it's pulling back different sources. And so in 10 seconds there, it came back with an answer and it's telling us that, if you send a notice to buyer perform on a Friday, the buyer has at least 2 days to react. The day you send it is considered day zero. Saturday is day one. Sunday is day two. And then it even specifies it's like the last day cannot be a Saturday, Sunday, or a holiday, so it should extend to the next day. So it's answering the question correctly. And then, so it's giving us the answer that it found. It's outlining that answer, and it's also citing its sources. So these are the specific documents that it's pulling the information that it got that answer from. So that was very important to us. We didn't want to just give blind answers. We wanted it tied to everything. So any of these documents that you click on it will pull the source of the document. It may not jump them directly to where that was, but if an agent wants to feel confident, we want our agents to feel confident they're getting the correct answer. Uh, we're pulling it there. Um,
Didn't it say like page 16 or something?
yeah, it will give you the paragraph number. It'll give you the information. So if I go back one tab here, like on the RPA, yeah, it says Q&A question 16. So if I jump back into this document again, I can scroll down to question 16.
Let's hope it's right.
And so, yeah, Michael, you no faith. How do you
Right.
determine what day cancellation may? Oh, so
No,
that
it still answers the question.
yeah,
Yeah.
that actually does still answer the
Yeah.
question. So it's specific, and it will go. We've loaded all the specific forms into there too. So it'll give you specific paragraphs and subsections of forms that the agent can reference. So it's been very powerful tool for agents in terms of knowledge. And I mean, even for I don't know how it's like I don't know how Michael keeps all these forms in his brain either. So this helps.
Yeah. And again, like the things that get escalated might be, okay, now it's what happens if I send a notice to perform? Like, what's the next step? Should my seller do it? Do they have to cancel on Monday night if the
Mhm.
buyer doesn't perform, or can we let it go for a couple of days because we don't want to necessarily cancel the deal, but the buyer's lagging with performing? And that's kind of what then gets escalated, right? Is the application, the strategy of this particular answer. So this is one of those questions that even though 99% of agents know it, they just want to make sure as they're about to pull the trigger that I'm right in my, how I remember how the RPA reads or whatnot. So
What I love about this is also that you can email. You see the
yeah,
prompt
Yeah.
there. Would you like me to email you a copy of the summary? So you've tied it into, is it your Gmail to do that?
So actually we keep track of all of the sessions, we keep track of the questions asked. We use Airtable to store all that, and so we actually
Mhm.
just utilize an Airtable automation. So when we say email it, it triggers this recording of this. First it summarizes everything, the entire conversation the agents had with the chat, their specific question, if it's being escalated, or in this case, if it's being summarized. And then it basically just records that information in Airtable, and we have Airtable format an email and send that out to the agent.
yeah. So it's really when it does get escalated, especially if they've asked it multiple questions in the same chat around the same topic, I'll get the question and then I get a summary of the conversation they were having with MikeBot. And that's helpful for me because oftentimes I'll read it, it'll give me context before I respond to the agent or call the agent. And a lot of times the question might not even be the right question to be asking in that particular situation. So having that context when I pick up the phone or I hit reply all, because it does go to the manager and me, um, helps me then figure out, okay, this is maybe what's really going on. And rather than spending 10 minutes on the phone to find out that that's probably not even the proper question we should be asking, now I can pick up the phone, call the agent, and kind of get right to it with what the solution may be. So, and that just comes to my email, my normal email account.
Brilliant. And this is something a lot of times an agent might have to send this to a co-broke agent to say, just so you know.
Mhm.
Right. Right. And that's honestly, that's why even if I have to hop on the phone as a manager now, not as an attorney, and jump on the phone to another agent, occasionally, of course, agents have issues and they want to bypass the agent and talk to the broker or whatever, or I'm calling another manager, I always try to cite something from the industry because
Mhm.
who am I for them to believe me, right? I understand what I'm doing, but I'm just another broker out there. So I like to have a citation to something with CAR. I can say, look, you may not agree with me, but let me show you what CAR is saying. They're putting this out to the entire industry.
Yep.
Now the agent has that same backup. Like if
Mhm.
they're having a disagreement with another agent on maybe how something's interpreted, now they have the source that they can go back to that agent and say, look, here you go. Like
Let's
not only
look at facts
am I
instead
saying
of
it, my
opinion.
broker's saying it, but
Yeah.
CAR is saying it.
But I've never done it that way. Well,
Right.
I'm sorry about that, but this is the way it's supposed to be done.
Oh
It's like,
man, that yeah. That's a routine conversation.
Oh my word. Do we have time to look at a couple of the other tools, Ryan? Or
Yeah, sure. I
all
can
right.
jump. So our marketing bot is a very or
Ryan, why don't
BiotBot.
you give context into what we're looking at real quick?
Yeah, so this is we call this Inside Seven Gables. This is our company intranet. This is an inside tool that we built, basically just a content management system to present tools and material to our agent information like calendars, easy access. I think every brokerage has, a similar version to this. Our approach has always been we want to try to make it something that's compelling to look at. Gives us an opportunity to present certain things that are important. So I had a big part in building this. Our marketing team had a big part in designing this. So we're pretty proud of this.
Yeah, no, it looks great. It's a wonderful adaptation. I think you're using Airtable on this, right? So
Yeah, we use
okay.
Airtable and a custom front end really to pull it
Yeah,
all together. So
that's beautiful.
it's great. So, so again, contextually, somebody's in marketing. Oh, I need a bio. Okay, here's our bio writing copywriter. I mean, I've
Just
got
pull
several
one
that
up you already did.
yeah. Let me pull up an example. Um,
Well, I went through this, and what I liked about it was it would ask you the question, you would provide the response, and then it would ask you like follow-up questions to sort of elicit a more detailed response or
Yeah, if an agent
so.
gives a two-word answer, we're not accepting that. We ask the LLM to get them to extrapolate. So this is a session that I went through it with, and so basically it goes section by section, confirms their information, asks the questions. I'm answering these questions all the way through. There's probably a couple times in here where I've like that, and there's some questions that agents can opt out of. And in our prompt, we're kind of, we say if an agent opts out of that question, try to get more information on that question, or when you're structuring it, lean in more to that. This goes through, and then in the end, basically, rather than spit out the whole bio here, where it's hard for them to copy and paste, we create a Google Doc and just automatically share it with them. And we give them a link to that, and we give it to them a couple different stands. So we give them a full bio, kind of standard, and we give them a one sentence version that they can use, and we give them a snippet for like their social media profiles that's under 160 characters. So it's ready to, again, just really easy for them to take and use. And then there's also a mechanism in there if they want to make some they don't like it, they want, some modifications, they can escalate it up to our marketing team. They can take a look at it and do some edits for them as well.
Or they can edit it, right?
Yeah, or they can edit it directly here, of
I've
course.
always said, like especially with writing, AI is an incredible writer and it'll get you 80% or more to where you need to be. So it's a lot easier for an agent to start from this page than a blank page, which is where most agents start to write their bio. So incredibly well done.
Yeah. And
Really
I
useful
mean,
tool.
writing your own bio is just hard.
Yep.
Like, like where do you start with it, right? So you're right. If you get 80% of it done, then yeah, it'll
And then
get you
this is
started.
our Research Me tool. It's not even a chat-based bot. It's a form-based bot. It's a lot of this happens. Agents just, they start, you know,
We'll put in an agent. You're
well, it's
not.
going to take a while. It takes more than 30 minutes, but I'll show you
Oh,
the
really?
the end
Okay.
result here real quick.
Okay.
But let's do Michael. Michael.
Oh, this was funny. So obviously,
Yeah.
CEO and myself share the same name. So when it talked about like problems that you have with your AEO out there, they called it the two Michaels problem. And so basically there was confusion as to who was talking about who. But I identified it as the two Michaels problem. It was kind of funny.
Well, specifically what it said, and it was quite funny, is it said you need to take care of the two Michaels problem.
Hey, I'm not gonna lie. It challenges me and my, with my Siri. I'm like,
Right,
call Mike Hickman, and it's like, which one? You know?
right, right. It's
And
kind of
then
funny.
so one of the other things we built, this is actually the second version of this tool, is that as we were doing this, we knew this kind of already, but it dawned on us that, hey, a lot of AI tools, they can't necessarily, like, they can find your Google My Business or maybe not be able to see it. They may not be able to crawl it. So we, we give the agent the opportunity to put in some of their profiles. And when we show them this and teach them this, we try to at least get them to put in their Google My Business profile, because it's not accessible to many AI platforms other than Google. But basically, when they do that, they submit it. In the back end, AI has already started working on this. This goes out to the fore. And one of the things that, we wanted to do is it's like there's a lot of different AI tools. To do some of these things, you'd have to pay for Perplexity, you'd have to pay for ChatGPT, you'd have to pay for Claude, you'd have to be able to do to do more than surface research. So we've integrated with the APIs. This is using Perplexity's deep research, it's using Claude deep research. So it's not just doing a surface level skim of search results. It's actually spending some time to pull this information. And then what it returns to the agent, and this is not necessarily pretty, but I mean, it does return an executive summary of what, kind of what's been found, goes through each platform and what it's found. And then it will, specifically state their blind spots. It's looking for things like, it's your contact information, Matt's phone numbers, email address, your DRE numbers, your name, all that's basically that map on your social media profiles. Does that all match? Other things that stand out, and then we're having it. We asked it to kind of give an explanation about why this is important, and then what's going to have the biggest effect. So some of this actually comes down to some basic SEO stuff for agents, not necessarily AEO. AEO starts with SEO.
Yep.
So it goes through and kind of just gives them, it's like, hey, it's like this is going to have the biggest impact for you, and sometimes it starts a conversation, because it's like, you need to put schema on your website, and they come to us like, what's schema? It's like, okay, let's talk about where's your website, and it's like, let's talk about how you can do that. Get your phone numbers aligned. You have different phone numbers on different profiles, stuff like that. And it gives them a place to, even if they just run it back to IT and say, help me with this, we know where we can start helping them with that. So it gives them the summary, and then it gives them the breakdown. It actually gives them the full return from each platform, including Perplexity, which writes like a 10-page
Yeah, it
search
does.
report on them. So if they want to read that, they can, but the first 4 pages are really the impactful thing, we tell them. So but important for us is, for me, is that it's like, hey, we're showing the work that AI is doing for you. It's all there for you to reference.
And this has
Easy.
been very popular. I think you asked earlier, like, how do we measure this?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Pretty routinely have very good agents in our company. Like, they'll just speak up at a meeting, or we held a Monday morning call that's
Yep.
accessible for, and they'll just say, hey, by the way, I attended Ryan and Michael's training, and I used the tool, and it's amazing. Like, you guys need to do this, and like, so that's how we're able to measure it. I know it's not precise, but when our very productive agents are using it, obviously those are like the early adopters, right? Like, if you're productive and you're using the tool, that's a good sign, because a lot of productive agents just won't look at tech unless it's been, tried and tested. But then the less productive agents that are still growing their business will naturally follow suit. So it's been very popular.
Yeah, I mean, I see this as something that's so wise to have completed because, as I mentioned earlier, while people are just trying to understand how these things are going to impact their business, you're already deploying solutions. And there's solutions that people can learn from. It's when you read a 30-page report about yourself
Yeah.
and you realize, oh my
Hopefully
word,
they
this is what consumers are experiencing if they're trying to get information or doing research about me. If I've been referred to somebody through word of mouth, which is the best referral on the planet, and somebody goes to do a little research and I look terrible, or
Right.
my information isn't well coordinated and well published and easily accessible, I've kind of underserved my opportunity there. So it's really great that you guys are doing that. I love the MikeBot. I love the way that you reference the documents in the in the MikeBot. And I just love that you guys have built all this yourselves. Maybe we should just wrap it up with sort of an understanding. I don't know if you guys have tracked your hours on this. I know that you've been kind of working on this for like a 6-month window, basically. Um, what would you say in terms of time commitment and expense commitment, just in big round numbers?
Um, it's hard to say. I mean, it is hard to quantify because a lot of this stuff, it's, you fall into it, and I spend a lot of personal time learning it too. And David's been a great help with a lot of this, but it's like MikeBot came together, I think, a lot faster than we ever would have imagined, and the costs to do it are, when you're talking about infrastructure costs are very small. Light rag, N8N, you can self-host on, a cloud service where you can spend $6 a month, and you can host light rag on a similar platform. So you're talking about very little upfront investment in that, and then in the time, it's, um, I don't know what we probably went from concept to when did we start, Michael? In July?
With MikeBot?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it
probably
was
July.
early
July.
August. I think it was early
Yeah.
August when we
Yeah,
started to
late July,
really
early August. Yeah.
collaborate and work on it with you and I, Ryan. I know that.
Yeah,
So
and I mean, I was probably at the beginning, I was probably dedicating, a little bit more time and research and stuff like that. But by the end of it, it was just like, okay, it's like half a day a week. Let's spend some time on the prompts. Let's test it. Um, and then it's just throwing questions at it.
And the maintenance of it really, I mean, is not
Yeah.
much at all. I mean, I just make sure that I have the most updated documents, forms, and I just have it throw them into a Google Drive that Ryan has created, and they get ingested at what, 9:30 every morning if is it 9:30, something like
I think we changed it to 10.
10,
So
whatever.
yeah, it
But
takes me
yeah,
off.
so I mean, the ongoing maintenance, once you have the initial forms in there, is really just, I mean, CAR just releases new forms twice a year, and Q&As don't get changed much.
yep.
So, there's not a tremendous amount of maintenance, and that's the part that I just make sure is up to date, but it's not a lot of time there.
Right. Well, I'm so proud of everything that you guys done. I want to be super clear. Ryan built this stuff. David helped him. If you have people inside of your company that know how to do these things, or at least they're curious about it, that's a lot easier than you might expect. It's a lot more cost effective than you might expect. It just takes eagerness and curiosity and some good teammanship here between Ryan and Michael for sure. Michael doesn't code, but Ryan does. So, it's like you have the person who's responsible for the operations of the company working with the technologist to kind of bring these solutions to life and do it in ways that are really meaningful for your agents. I really applaud what you do. Good luck getting all these awards that I think are well deserved. And thanks so much for sharing what you guys have done with us today. And we'll look forward to working with you guys on these upcoming projects with the document compliance part. It'll be super fun. Maybe we'll have you back and show that product when it's done too. Huh?
Yeah.
We're
All right.
excited for
Well,
that
have a
one.
great holiday,
Thank you
guys.
guys.
Thank you guys.
Take
Bye.
care.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.